Welcome to the Info Broker Show with host Robyn Mancell.
Hey everybody, how are you? It's Robyn coming back at you again. It is September 1st. Oh my gosh. Can you even just imagine how we've made it through, even when we thought we might not be able to, but we did. It is September 1st. So it is a new month. It's a new day. We have four, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 months left in this year. So I thought, what better way for us to kind of restart? You know, every month, especially since COVID, we're just kind of waiting around to see what's going to happen. But the guest that I have for you today, what is so perfect about having her as our guest today is that everybody's been going through a lot. And she is, we like to call her the modern day medicine woman. She is a natural healer. So if you have aches and pains and you don't want to do the way we've been brought up to do is to take medication, she is a natural herbalist. And we're going to talk about all kinds of things because we all know, and I think it's been brought to the forefront more than ever, that your health is your wealth. And so I am so happy to kick off this last quarter of the year and the first day of September to bring on my very special guest, Moni. And she's going to come in and join us, and we are going to talk about all kind of fun stuff. Moni.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you because everything that you do, you're gonna bring us some healing. That's what you are going to do.
That's what I was born to do. So let's do it. Let's
make it happen. And yes. So this is my soul sister, as I wore this specifically for you, because yes, I wanted to get into that. I want everybody to get a good feel for it. This call is gonna, in my belief, heal a lot of people, give a lot of people hope. So Moni, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and how you even came to be known as this modern medicine woman?
Wow, that's such a great question. And you know, Robyn, the most difficult thing for anyone is to talk about themselves. I so wish that I could have given you a bio and then you read it and I wouldn't have to say anything and I could just answer questions. So, with that being said, so my background, I've always been always interested in the human body. I remember being a little girl and my grandmother giving me books on the anatomy. And because she was Native American, we did a lot with herbs. You know, everything was in the garden. If we needed our medicine, we went outside and we picked it. And so that was really how I got started. It was from being a really young girl because I hated to see suffering. You know, if someone was sick, my natural inclination was to always try to find a way to make them better. And I would spend hours and hours just reading and researching everything from every bone in the body, every muscle, how every system in the body worked. And so, you know, I mean, imagine being, 8, 9 years old and, you know, talking about the endocrine system and the thyroid and, hey, it might just be your heart, you know. That was me. And I wasn't really interested in a lot of the other, regular children's books. Those never interested me. And so she knew that. And, so she began to get me books, also on pharmacology. And so I had this really beautiful library of things that really helped me to hone in on what I do. And so as the years passed, I became known for that. I was the person that everybody called, similar to you, Robyn, like you are the info broker, right? And so if somebody needs something or they're curious about something, who do they call? They call you because more likely than not, you know someone. Well, they would call me because they would figure, hey, she probably knows. And so my sons call me Google, and because they're like, you probably know. And so I'm always pushing them to look it up, right, themselves. But they're like, well, Mom, why? Because you're Google, because I've just spent so so many hours reading and researching, but in this field in particular, because it, was the most interesting to me. And so companies began to hear about what I was doing and learning about my research. And so I then began to do some business consulting. I would fly all over the country, looking at the science from different companies to see if their products were going to be efficacious or not, and if there was going to be a good market for them. And from there, the rest is history. And once I, had this whole story with what happened with my little boy, I went to from being, a person who was helping on the corporate side to really honing into my gifts and helping people now all over the world. I've had clients from the UK, France, Singapore, etc. So, from all over the world now, they, just from word of mouth, not anything that I've marketed, I've been able to really tap into understanding the way that the human body works, not from an allopathic standpoint, which is our traditional medicine, but understanding the symptoms, because everything that we see is not always what we see, right? It's kind of like how they say you have to see with vision and not just sight. And so understanding the root cause and understanding that some causes of our physical ailments actually have nothing to do with our physical bodies at all. Sometimes it's spiritual, sometimes it's emotional, and sometimes it is physical, it's environmental. And so being able to hone into what that is has really given me the ability to use my gift to really help people where traditional medicine has not been able to.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I want to go back to when you grew up as a child, because you said around 8 or 9. You now that you said this was your grandmother? Was it your grandma?
It was my grandmother. It was my grandmother. Yes.
Okay.
Her name was Azalea. Yes.
Did she kind of know? Because grandmothers, I think, kind of have a feeling. Did she know that you had these special gifts? Could she just tell?
Yeah, I definitely believe that she could tell, and I think that when you say that, it's really interesting because it wasn't, I remember being, and this is probably the first time I've ever publicly, came out and said what I'm going to say, but it's your show. Of course I'm going to say it on your show, but, but I remember being little and not understanding how I knew what I knew. And it would kind of freak some people out in my family, right? And I would say, oh, you better get to the doctor, because I would see sometimes, and there might be a little bit of a shadow, or there might be, something bright, like, oh, you're feeling well today. I would just know, and I didn't understand how I knew it. So she was the only one that really, kind of facilitated and said, okay, we know that what she has is something special. It's different. I was definitely the black sheep, so to speak, because it was considered weird. It was, I wouldn't, you get what I'm saying. So without me going too woo woo.
No, but that's okay. That's totally okay to go woo woo, because we're going to go some woo woo today.
Okay.
And I just want to share something with our audience, because a lot of people don't know this. So when a man has a daughter, the daughter will get 26% of her DNA from his mother.
Right.
So you naturally, in addition to your gifts, you probably picked that up. It kind of came through your DNA.
Absolutely, because it was on actually both sides. So this was my mother's mother, but my father's mother, actually, I was told that I'm exactly like her. She actually lost her life very young. She was 42. And when she died of cancer, but everyone says that she just had these incredible gifts for healing, and that she was so loving and just a very deeply spiritual person. I never knew her. And so, but somehow there is definitely still that connectivity where I definitely feel like, it's really weird to say, but it feels like there are times where I can feel that ancestral energy moving through me in order to be able to help. Because one of the things that I do, I'm really big on moving myself out of the way, because I don't ever want to get pompous in my knowledge. And so I know that there's powers that are greater than myself. And because of that, I'm like, well, whatever it is, and even before I came on this show, I said, whatever it is that you have for me to deliver to Robyn's audience, may I do that and move myself, my thoughts, my fears, whatever out of the way, and just be a vessel. And so that's how I do what I do.
That's beautiful. So you said something very interesting, and that is that how you're fairly young. We're not going to say we don't have to say your age, but you're fairly young. So when you well, You can't help it. You just look beautiful all the time. So here's the
you.
thing. Going back some several decades, let's just say, this was not the norm. I know this was not the norm.
You're
And
right.
so you were, I guarantee that you were getting scrutinized for this.
Ooh, oh my gosh.
It was probably a really hard place for you to just be authentically who you are. I've seen that before also when you're ahead of the curve. I've seen that happen. So I know that happened with you because traditionally, you're right. We're all taught when you have an ailment to go to the doctor, right?
Absolutely.
And you were talking about something that we are hearing more of today, but tell us about how that journey was for you to really be okay with that, because you can actually you can lose yourself trying to fit in, and clearly you were not fitting in. So
Wow.
what was that journey like? I hear you sighing. Yeah, tell us about that.
I love that question. So let me just first say that your interview skills are like on point, because that is a beautiful question. That was a very, very difficult time for me, for a lot of reasons. One, for people who got to experience what I did, it was difficult for me because their reliance on me began to be too heavy. It was everything. It was, well, is my boyfriend cheating? It was everything. And I'm like, listen, I don't know. I can only tell you what's coming through me for you in this moment. And so I would get either drained or I was ostracized. Oh, she's weird. Or what is she talking about? Or, oh, she's talking about something that God, or she's talking about something spiritual, or she's just being, and so, it was a very difficult place to find my lane. And so at first, when I was young, I was cool with it because I'm like, listen, I am who I am, because I was very young. I then became a teenage mother, right? And I began to succumb to, oh, wait a minute. I had a detour, right? And so then it was like, okay, how now do I fit in? How do I make myself acceptable to the rest of the world? And so then I tried the corporate route and the nonprofit route and the traditional job route. And none of those things worked for me, right? They weren't who I was, and I felt stifled. But I was still alone. This journey is a very lonely journey. And, I don't have a lot of friends. I don't have, because typically, and because of what I do, people are here because they need something from me. Right. And so there's not a lot of reciprocity, because you see what I'm saying? And so it's they feel like I come bearing gifts because I have a gift. Does that make sense?
I know it. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. And so that has been a very difficult thing. I mean, even now, I mean, it's not an easy thing, but I'm so determined to get everything out of this life that I'm like, F it. I am who I am. You can look at me how you want to look at me. I came on the Afro Broker and I got woo and I said it, and I'm going to feel like I'm going to feel like the boldest, after I'm done, because I'm saying it and I'm not going to apologize anymore. I apologize so much. Like, well, I don't know how you're going to feel about this. Or I would kind of be very tender, with people, because I didn't want to, how do I say this gently? But sometimes there's no gentle way to say things, right?
Right.
Like sometimes, you have to be able to say, you know what? If I can't tell you the truth, you'll never be able to confront yourself. You know what I mean? Like, if you're overweight, we have all this, oh, well, we need to start, we don't want to fat shame. Well, sometimes, I mean, for me, I had to look in the mirror and say, you know what, girl, you're too fat. You need to lose weight. I didn't want to say, oh, well, Moni, just, no, because now that puts me in accepting, a mediocre life, instead of, get your ass together. Come on, girl, get it together. So,
that's because you're a truth whisperer or a truth slayer, or whatever the term that they want to call it. You're very truthful. And I have a funny story about that, what you're saying, because my mom is that way. So I remember hearing my mom tell somebody, she goes, well, I'm overweight like this because my daughter didn't tell me. I don't know why she would not tell me that I was looking like this. And I was like, oh, you're going to blame me because, and she goes, well, you should have said something. You should have never let me get this overweight. And I'm like, okay, Mom. But, that's that openness and that honesty that, you can have. Some of us grow up that way. And like you said, it's very draining and exhausting to try to not be who you are.
Oh gosh. I feel more liberated now at
Mm-hmm.
my age, which I guess we're not saying it. I feel more liberated now than I ever have in my life,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm saying what I want to say. And you know what? Silence is actually causes symptoms of disease, because when you hold in how you really feel, it will lock into
Mm-hmm.
certain places in your body. And that's
Mm-hmm.
how I can always tell, like, oh, you've got, gallbladder issues, you've got hepatitis, you're holding on to some anger, right? You release the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
anger, we heal the disease.
Yeah. You have a story. I remember, if I recall, about your son, about an illness, and that what you had to do.
Oh,
If you're
wow.
okay talking about that, do you?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I didn't know if you wanted me to go there, but I'll definitely go there because it's how I started my company.
Right.
Um,
Right.
my youngest son, Kobe, he was 11 at the time. He's 17. No, he was either 10 or 11. I don't remember now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But either way, he's 17 now. But he ended up getting this really horrible disease. We still don't know to this day what it was. And he had lesions that were going all over his body. It looked like, if people want to talk about a biblical plague, it was awful. I mean, I've got pictures of it. There's probably one picture on my website that might still be up there, but he covered his body. He was in pain a lot. The doctors did not know what to do. They were doing biopsies and blood work. And I mean, because I had already experienced the loss of 2 children, I was terrified. And so I went from the person everyone was calling for help to the person who felt helpless and was seeking help. I didn't know what to do. And so I was taking him back and forth to the doctor. I mean, they had no answers for over a year. And the last time I came downstairs and Kobe was on the floor, and it was around midnight, and I came down to get some water. I had no idea that he was down here. So imagine turning on the kitchen light and you see your child on the floor. And I just panicked. I picked him up. I didn't even think to call 911. I drove down Parsons Avenue in Columbus, Ohio, got him to Children's Hospital. But as I was driving, I was crying and I was praying. And I'm like, I knew he wasn't dead, but I didn't know if he was dying. I didn't know what was happening. And I'm just like, please, God, like I'm just praying. And it literally rose up within me, like, why are you taking him back and forth to the doctor when you know what to do? This is who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like something shook on the inside of me. I immediately went from fear to, that is who the heck I am. And I'm not just that for everybody else. I'm that for him too. Right. And so I went ahead, took him anyway, because we were almost there. They gave him an IV. He got some hydration. They gave me a prescription. I knew I wasn't going to fill it. I come home and I'm like, okay, if I know what to do, I'm like, okay, God, I need a formula. Like I need a formula. And so nothing happened for a couple of days. And all of a sudden I had this intense urge to get a paper and a pen. And I just began to write. And all of a sudden, like all of the things that my grandmother taught me that I had put out of my mind, because I was like now dealing with scientists, and I was trying to be like traditional and be, because, the world accepts you more if you are, oh, I'm the scientist or I'm the doctor, right? They accept it more than if you were to say, you know what, if you do this, you won't have to do that. Right. And so when I had like 3 formulas just like that, I got them and I put them together, and in less than a week, every lesion on his body was gone. The doctors could not do any of that in a year, and all of his blood work was completely normal. And they were like, we don't know how this is done. And so I did a little post on Facebook. One of the doctors that I know said, hey, can you send me some of this? He gave it to his patient. Same thing happened. Then he tells another doctor, same thing happened. And so time after time after time, and they were getting, they began to use it for themselves. And now the doctors are calling me, hey, Moni, I've got such and such going on. What do you think I should use for it? Because guess what? They weren't using the pharmaceuticals that they were prescribing. That was shocking to me. They were calling me and saying, okay, what do you think about this? And how many milligrams of that? And what if we put this together? And what do you think about that? And that's how I started. I did not intend to start a company. I intended to heal my son. And one thing led to another. And everything has just been 100% word of mouth. And so it's been a beautiful thing.
And so you really came back to who you really were. And I want to go into that, but I do want to say to our listeners, particularly the women that are listening, because I talk to a lot of women, particularly when I do mindset calls. And one of the things that happen is exactly what you said. We get lost. We get lost in who we are.
Yeah.
We forget who we are. because we're just caught up in the day-to-day of life. We're either caught up in the day-to-day of raising children, of being married, of taking care of everybody except ourselves.
Right.
And that is why your story is so important. Yes, there are things we're going to get right into learning more about what you can help people with in your company. But I think it's really important that people understand that you had this all along. You had this when you were 8, when you were 8, and probably at birth. But let's just say at 8 when it kind of, and I had a great teacher once that said that we are born with everything we need to know. She goes, you're born with it. She says, but here's what happens. So your hand is up like a rose. You know how a rose is open? The petals are open?
Yes.
She says, then the world starts to throw dirt on you and you close yourself up so that you don't get the dirt on you.
Yeah.
So you do this. And then when that happened, that moment with your son, that's why I felt it was important. You tell the story. Yeah. Guess what's happened to you now? Look at that. Oh my gosh.
Literally. Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a beautiful story that you just told because it's so true, right? Like I really felt that. It's so true because if it wasn't for that, and not that I would go back and say, oh God, I wish it didn't happen to him. But because it happened to him, I've now been able to help thousands of people that I never would have helped because I would have stayed in the same lane. You know what I mean? Yep. I would have stayed representing another company instead of my own. I would have stayed being someone else's rep. I would have stayed looking at their science and helping them go on to, make millions of dollars instead of helping myself just by staying in who I am. Yeah.
Well, but that's your purpose. This is your purpose. And this is your gift. This is who you are. This is exactly who you are. This is what emanates from you. And this is why I love you so much because you are just yourself. And I kind of like people that are themselves.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I happen to like people who are just themselves.
You do.
So let's talk about the company. Tell everybody the name of your company so that, and what are you wanting to bring to the world through your company?
That's a beautiful question because what I initially wanted to, the company is called Bellativa, Bellativa. And the reason why I named it Bellativa, Bella meaning beautiful, it also means love. And then Tiva is a part of the cannabis sativa plant, the hemp plant. And the reason why I combined those together was because it was part of the formula. The base of that formula was that plant, and it made my son's skin beautiful again. And so that's the reason why that name came to be. But I wanted something that was fresh and trendy. But in that, starting off with just my son, I then began to have people say, well, can you create a formula for this? And what about that? Or, and so I'm like, I can do that, and so, and it just kind of happens. And they say, well, how do you do it? I really can't explain it. I just do it. Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain it. I just do it. I don't know how I know to do it. I didn't get trained to be a formulator. It's just one of those things that is innate. It is innate.
It's your natural gift. And it's probably your ancestors are channeling that through you.
I definitely feel that, and I definitely invite that energy.
So here's the thing. Look, it's okay because I see sometimes people hesitate. You're free. You're free now. You don't have to. I mean, you know what?
You saw my hesitation.
I saw you. One thing. Look, you're good at reading illnesses and health, and I'm really good at reading people.
Yeah, you read me because I was definitely. So
you don't have to hesitate. Go ahead and be yourself, girlfriend.
Okay, so basically every formula that I get, I pray for it. And as I'm praying for it, I'll know exactly what to do step by step. And I write down that step, those, and that becomes this formula. And so it's literally like receiving a download. That's the best way I can describe it. It's so funny. I have a funny story. I remember my grandmother, she used to teach me how to cook, right? She'd always have me in the kitchen, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it because I wanted to be outside with my friends. I wanted to walk up the street with the little, with the other little girls. And she'd go, Mommy, and I'm like, oh, what does she want? Right. And so she'd go in there, she'd say, now stir it this way. Now turn it this way a few times. And I'm like, oh my gosh, right? But now it all comes back. And so if I need to remember something, I'm like, are you, can I tap back into that memory? And I can hear, it's almost like I can hear it, because she used to go, that a girl, you did it. And so whenever I can feel like I did it, I'm like, okay, that a girl, I did it. And I can feel that, right? And so I feel that, like, after every formula, right? It's like, okay, that a girl, you got it, right? And so that's how this happens. And so it's a very simple, because there's a thin veil between the realms, right? It's a very thin veil. We're taught that there's just this, God in the sky with the clouds and, and the angels on the harps. But the truth of the matter is, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim or a Buddhist, the kingdom of God, the spiritual kingdom, is within. It is us. It is how we live and move and how we have our being. And so within the plant kingdom, the way that I do the formulas, it's honoring the same principles. It's the master herbs. It's the supporting herbs. It's understanding their harmony and their vibration. If they are put together properly, they will now do the right things within the body on a cellular level. If they're not put together properly, because we've had people try to duplicate the products and even call me and say, well, how did you do that? Because I couldn't get it to quite, I'm like, are you crazy? You're asking me how I did it. Right. People will do that, but they have to understand it's a very spiritual process. When we're doing it, the proper frequencies are playing that promote healing. Because again, plants are living, they're living things. And if we honor them the same way that we honor ourselves, the way we honor our spirituality, then beautiful things happen.
Do you remember, I don't know if I remember we always had dogs growing up, and the dogs used to eat grass when they were sick. Did you notice that?
Yes.
And my parents said they're eating grass because they're sick. That's what they told me. That's what, so obviously they knew something also. And it's a beautiful thing, because it's nature. Nature is, I really believe nature can heal in a lot of ways. And for example, everybody knows we're going through COVID right now, right?
Right.
And a lot of that, I think, also has to do with our mental health. Oh
my gosh, yes.
Go ahead, girl. I see you. Go ahead. Tell them.
No.
Tell them.
Well, here's the thing. That which we believe in becomes our reality, right? And so think about, you talk about mindset so much, Robyn. The person who says that they're broke, they are now prophets of their own life. Right? And so there's a reason why we're constantly being bombarded with COVID, everywhere you go, COVID.
Yeah.
Because the sickness has to first begin here in the mind before it manifests in the body. Right. Yeah. And so, yes, and of course, stress in and of itself is going to weaken the immune system, right? Worry weakens the immune system. So now if you can't have proper immune response, now you're going to be susceptible to anything that is out there, right?
Exactly.
So everything's COVID now. If you were in a car crash, it was because COVID got you. Right. And that's true. Right. That's literally it, but you're exactly right. We have to be able to stay in a state of peace, or at least be able to get ourselves back there. And I'm not saying that it's easy. I think I posted something yesterday, but we can shift. And I think if we shift our mind as well as our actions to doing the right things, especially when it comes to making sure that we can keep our immune system optimal, because that's where my company is headed. Right. And I think I was sharing this with you a little bit ago, because there's nothing more important than our immune health. Right. If we think, after COVID, there's going to be something else, and then there's going to be something else. And so when I've been formulating recently, it has been strictly to support the immune system, because if you support the immune system, you're going to support every other system in the body to be able to get back into homeostasis or balance. That's just a fancy word for just balance. It's not about making you superhuman. It's about getting you to the point where you're strong enough to fight. But if we're constantly beat down by the world, how are we going to fight a virus? How are we going to fight bacteria? How are we going to fight the onset of disease? We're not. Right? We're not, unless we do the right things with our bodies ahead of time, proactively and not reactively. It's a daily thing.
Yes, it is. I would have people, this is so funny, because I would always tell people, let's say I sneezed or something, and they say, oh, are you getting sick? And I'd say, no, because I don't even believe in being sick.
Right.
I don't even believe in it.
Right.
And I think what we have to think about, so I'm glad that your company is going down this path, because we have to think about our health before there's a problem.
Right.
And I think I read something where someone said, if you were given a Rolls Royce, right, or a Lamborghini, you would not dare put cheap gas in that car.
No, not at all.
Right?
And that's
You
such
would
a
not.
good point. Such a good point. Such a good point. And I think that the biggest thing is we're not focused on preventing sickness.
Yeah.
We're focused on supporting wellness.
Yeah.
Which is a very different mindset. Right. And so just like you're saying, like if we're like, oh, let me take this so that I don't get sick, you're already in the mindset and your cells are already ready to fight off what? Sickness. Right. But if you're considering yourself well and you're supporting your overall wellness, that's a whole different ballgame. Right. And that's something that everybody needs to do. It's not optional anymore. Right. It's not like, oh, well, I'm going to go and take some vitamin C. Well, good luck.
Yeah. Like, for example, I had someone say that they were feeling some anxiety and that they needed to take a pill for that. And I said, you might want to think about meditation. You don't want to take a pill every time there's a problem.
Yeah.
And I want to tell the audience something that I shared with Moni about my mom. My mom is 82 years old, and she was having some problems with her thyroid, which are a form of, I believe they call it Graves' disease. And this doctor was giving her some medication. She really wasn't feeling it, but I don't know. Sometimes when people get older, I think they're afraid. They think other people know better. And this is for all of us, period, because we know our body better than anybody. We know, you know your body better than anybody.
Yes.
So anyway, by the time she said, something's not right, you got to send me to a specialist, right? When she went to the specialist, I guess our thyroid are supposed to be at a certain count. Hers was almost down to zero. Almost to zero. When this doctor, he said, hold on a minute. I'm taking you off of this right now. There's no way. He said, I got to get you off of this and get you better. So you're looking at one who was thinking, just give her this. And then you have another one who is like, no. This is destroying part of your body right now. We got to get you off of this. And I want the audience to know that when I told Moni about it, because I started searching for some natural things and, on the internet, I started looking. But as soon as I told Moni, she knew exactly what my mom needed. Remember, I told you, and you said she needed, what was it, selenium? I think it was, you said?
Yes, selenium. Yeah, 200 micrograms of selenium and some nascent iodine.
Yeah, just like that. She knew exactly what it was. And I didn't tell her any more than I told you guys, but think about that she knew exactly what my mother needed. And so why don't you talk to us about, give us some examples of who can you help? What are the things that people will gain from being a part of getting their products from your company? Just tell us a little bit about some of the products that you have too.
Okay, awesome. So the first question was, who can I help? I think the first answer to that is who's willing to be helped, right? Because their sickness, right? They're committed to the trauma. They're committed to the attention that it gets them, right? And so if that person is not willing to, if their mindset isn't ready to shift to a mindset similar to what you were saying you had in terms of, I don't even believe in the sickness, right? I don't even accept its possibility, because here's the thing. If my mindset I don't like to call myself a healer because I can get in trouble, right, for that.
Oh, okay.
But if my mindset as the wellness facilitator that was off the cuff. Hopefully that. So,
you're a wellness warrior. You're a warrior of health.
Yeah, well, a wellness warrior, health warrior. Okay. So if my mindset accepts your illness, right now, then I don't have the ability to really hear what's needs to get out of the way in order for your wellness to come through. right? And so we're all created with, like you said, everything that we need. The body, the cells are so intelligent, and they actually have their own individual intelligence. That's what a lot of people don't realize. That's how they know, like, oh, wait a minute, there's an invader. Let me go, and and do something here, right? They know exactly what to do. And even when disease manifests, it's cells that have gone rogue. And why have they gone rogue and gone a little crazy? Because they did not have the nutritional standpoint. They didn't have enough nutrition, or they obeyed whatever you told them, right? You ever gone to the doctor and had fear? Guess what happens? Oh, my tummy's hurting. Right? Why? Because your cells have now obeyed what you told them, right? And so now you've manifested a stomach ache, right? Or, oh, I can't do this. I'm a little nervous. Guess what happens? The heart goes, wait a minute, we're nervous. So the cells go, boom, 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 boom. Now the heart races, right?
Yeah.
So it's listening. Your body is going to obey anything you tell it, from sickness or health. But what is the deal is, it's easier for us to believe in the illness than it is for us to believe in the wellness, right? But the truth is, they're just as simple, right?
Yeah, our body's amazing, because I had food poisoning. I never had food poisoning before, right? And I heard, I looked it up because I never had it, but it says that's your body saying that something needs to get out.
Yes.
That there's something invading your body. And so whereas I think sometimes people would look at it as, feeling horrible, you actually should be happy about that reaction.
No doubt about it.
Right? Because your body's saying whatever is in there does not belong in there, and we're going to get it out. That army of, right? Am I saying that right, Bonnie?
That is so listen, you got it. You got it. That's exactly it. Because it's going to do whatever you say. Just the same with the rest of our lives, right? When we talk about mindset, why is it that when we shift our mindset, we get more wealth, right? Why is it when we remove certain things out of our vocabulary, like I'm broke, right? That we can now begin to receive abundance. Same thing within our bodies, right? But we tend to, oh my God, I have a fever. Oh my God, you want to curse the fever? And the fever's like, listen, I'm here to kill that shit that's in your, that stuff that's in your body. Right? You see what we're here to kill that stuff that's invading you. We're here to burn it out of you. We're heating you up so that you can heal it. Now, obviously, you don't want it to go too far, but it is actually doing its job, right? It's purging. It's like, wait a minute, we need to do everything we need to do, because if we leave this here, it can go too far. So our job is to keep you well, right? And so thinking about that's such a beautiful way to say it, because that's so true. And so we have to look at our body like an ally. That's why I do so much mirror work now. I'm starting to do that, where I wasn't doing that as much before, right? Where I look at before, as a woman, I'm looking like, oh my gosh, oh, was there a little bit of fat there? Oh gosh, I'm judging and not even thinking about the fact that I'm judging. When the truth is, I'm like, you know what, girl, thank you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're up. You're walking, you're moving. Thank you. You fought off disease today. Thank you. And so that gratitude, guess what the cells are now doing? Just like a child who gets praise from their parent. Guess what? Just like your granddaughter, right? You have this brilliant granddaughter. Imagine if she got a 99 and someone says, oh my gosh, that was just a 99, right? You should have got 100. Or the person that's like, 99, girl, wow, high-fiving her, right? She's going to desire to do it again. And guess what?
Yeah.
She's going to keep striving for more. And next time she just might get that 100. But she's going to know that she celebrated. Our body and our cells do the same thing, right? And so when I create products, I'm creating products that put the cells in a state where they can, first of all, hear you. Because what happens is when we put too much junk in our bodies, we have too much going on, even the junk that's in our minds, right? When we're doing that, our body now is like, you know what? It's a little, you might be moving slower. Your knees might start to, creak a little bit. That's not what we have to have. Like, who told us that that's what we're supposed to be just because we're getting older? It's not true. Everything that we're putting in our body is information. And so it's information to the cells, right? So if we're not giving our cells the information that it needs to do what it's supposed to do, right? As in put more glucosamine in between those joints so that you can move up and down the stairs faster, as in give your body lots of minerals, because we need minerals more than we need vitamins, right? That's what we are. We're mineral deficient more times than not, right? And so when we're putting those in our body, now we're wondering why, oh, I had those wrinkles on my forehead. Why are they turning back the hand of time? Because you gave your cells what they needed in order to be able to produce more collagen again, just like they did when you were young. And so as we're getting older, our bodies naturally deplete. All we need to do is put it back in our bodies, give ourselves what they need, combine it with the mindset, and now we experience a wellness that, I feel better now than I ever did, Robyn.
Yeah.
Ever.
I do too. I really do. I absolutely do too. So somebody brand new coming to your website, what would you recommend on the path for someone to get started on their path? What would you say that they need to start taking?
The very first thing I would tell them to start taking is the very formula that I created for my son. That formula is called Power Boost, and we're probably going to change the name, but it was Power Boost for him at that time because, he was a kid. It was like, we're going to boost your, it was, again, mindset. Right? Because guess what? It wasn't just about what I put in his body, right? To help him be well. Because if it was, then the doctors, what they gave him would have made him well, right? So if it was just a psychosomatic thing, right? And so, but I wanted to combine that mindset. I'm giving you a power boost. Come on, you can do this. Talk to yourself. So, come on, cells, we can do this. But Power Boost is that product, right? Power Boost has lots and lots of herbs in it. It's got the CBD. You guys probably are familiar with CBD. Myself and some other like Charles, Best that we helped launch the CBD market here in the United States. And so being able to be a part of that innovative science, we definitely wanted to have that in there. But it's got things like Haritaki, which is like the king of herbs in Ayurvedic medicine. It's got astragalus, which helps your immune system. It's got, cordyceps that helps, again, the immune system, because it's all about what the body has the ability to fight and to keep strong, because we're being bombarded every day. I don't care if it's from your cell phone. I don't care if it's from the television. I don't care if it's from going outside. Our air isn't clean. You know what I mean? The World Health Organization said 90% of the world breathes toxic air. Right?
Yeah.
Did you know that you can get diabetes from breathing from the air, type 2 diabetes? It's not always what you are eating. Right? It's the microplastics that are in the air. But if you don't give your cells enough power in order to be able to detox and get those out of there, guess what? Now you're going to be susceptible to those types of diseases, right? And so Power Boost, it has tons and tons of different things in it. Moringa, which has all of your naturally occurring vitamins. Baobab from the African tree of life to support the body's vitality. All of those are in this 1 2-ounce dropper bottle, so that when you take it, it gives you a nice jolt. Now, here's what I will say, and I'm going to start doing some videos on this. And I'm going to be very, very blunt about it. It does not taste good. It was not designed to tickle your taste buds. Okay. It was designed for your cells, because your cells don't care what it tastes like. It cares what they feel like. Right. And so that's the reason why I do the things that I do. So, but it's not horrible, but in the beginning, there were some people like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can take this. Well, okay. But then they're like, wait a minute, I can't be without it, because now I don't feel, I don't feel as well. So, once we mature, what I mean, we get out of the McDonald's mindset, the culture of having to have a cheeseburger and an orange drink in order to, feel good. Right now, our bodies begin to crave those things. Like when we talked about sea moss, with the women that I can't wait to collaborate with, right? I took my sea moss today. Sea moss does not taste good. Right?
No, it tastes horrible. Let's just be honest. It tastes horrible.
It's awful. But guess what? It feels amazing, right? The taste, swig some water, right? And get over it, right? And so it's like sometimes we have to grow up and get over it, take it, and feel better.
Yeah. Give everybody, we have a couple of people that commented, so give us the website again so that they can go to the website right now. Tell them exactly how to get there, Moni.
Sure. It's lovebellativa.com. LOVEBELLATIVA.com. Lovebellativa.com.
That is wonderful. You know what I started doing? And look, let me tell you guys what I love about Moni too. So there it is, Love Bellativa. It's right there. So what I love about her, and because this is just a natural thing that I do, I connected her to some women who they can collaborate with, because we believe in collaborating. We don't believe in competition. We're about all about collaborating. And I love how eager she was to get to know these ladies, which in a very future show, I'll be bringing them on to talk to you about their business. They actually sea moss straight from Grenada, her hometown. But I love that Moni was just like, okay, ladies, let's get together. Let's figure out what we're going to do together.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful thing, because together, supporting each other, that's a good frequency to be on also, when you're that open, and you've always been that way. So I love that you are so open to embrace these ladies and to see what you guys can actually do together. I actually figured out something. I started putting some blueberries in my sea moss.
Does it help? Does it help?
It helps. It does. It does help. But I mean, it's so good for you. What are you going to do, right? You need to take. Remember, what was it? Castor oil. My mom never made.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's the very first thing. Now, what about kids? Do you have anything that we could, because kids with the fast food and everything going on, what are your recommendations for children?
As far as the products go, or just in general?
In general, and the product, put it together, because I think a lot of parents are trying to figure out, okay, what can we do to get them on the path to stay with better health?
Well, I'm going to switch gears a little bit in my answer to that question, because parenting is such an important part of my life. People, if you're following my page ever, you see how much I talk about my children, right? I think the biggest thing that I notice with parents is that we have to, especially the parents, and so I'm not saying that this is your audience, but if this is you, yes, I'm talking to you, right? The biggest thing I think is for parents to stop giving in, right? It's like, to me, truly loving your children is loving them for the long haul. It's setting them up for the long haul. Most of the times, let's take type 2 diabetes for an example, right?
Okay.
It happens because the pancreas has gotten exhausted. It's had to keep pushing out so much insulin. We keep feeding our children McDonald's and Wendy's, and they want a soda. We are giving the pancreas so much work to do that by the time they're adults, now they're more susceptible to dis-ease. And so the temporary pleasure that they're getting from chewing on the French fries and having the orange soda and having the cheeseburger is simply not worth who they're going to become as an adult. And to be honest, it will not be their fault. It will be the fault of the parents, because we were not strong enough to do what it took in order to give our children strong nutritional foundations. Thinking about the fact that as their DNA is continuing to replicate itself, you want it to, your future grandchildren. How you feed your children is going to affect your future grandchildren. So we have to realize the things that we're doing right now is going to impact generations to come, right? It's not just about us. And the greatest thing that we can do, in my opinion, there's two things. One is to make sure our children have a very solid foundation when it comes to their health. And I don't mean just their physical health, their spiritual health, their mental health, teaching them how to handle conflict, how to handle stress, because the world will jack you up if you don't, right? It just will, right? And also making sure that they have a strong financial health. We don't wait till our children launch to make sure that they understand, how to become entrepreneurs, how to invest. We do those things now so that they can learn how to live and take care of their own families. That's why I homeschooled for so long, right? And that's why, so by the time they thought Kobe was going to be behind, and now he literally leads the entire school, because I made sure that he knew how to learn and not just memorize, right? And so now, my children can say, well, Mom, where's the beta glucans? Or Mom, because beta glucan, especially if it comes from algae, very strong for immune health. Right.
Okay.
And so they'll ask, so they'll give me all kinds of questions. Well, where is this? Or where's the, I need some Nigella sativa, or I need some. They know because I make them know. Right. And they hate it. But I hated it when my grandmother made me know. But now I have so much gratitude for her. I'm like, if she was not getting on my nerves and making me come back into that kitchen and making me go out into that garden, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. There would be a part of me that would, but I'd be so much further behind because she made me do it. And so now, I don't care about their feelings. I care about their future. So.
Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, do you have anything exciting that you're able to share with us? Because, like I said, I know that your passion and your drive and things are constantly evolving. They're constantly
Yeah.
evolving with what you say. And so, is there anything that you can share? Just some little tidbits of
I'm going to go
something.
ahead and share. I'm going to go ahead and share. I'm going to just put it out there because
Okay,
guess what?
good,
I've
good,
got to
good.
be accountable to myself too. So here's what we're going to do. We are
Okay.
actually in the process of creating subscription boxes that are going to contain immune boosting products. And so you'll be able to get them every month. We'll be able to make sure you have your droppers. You're supporting your wellness, not necessarily preventing sickness. You're supporting your wellness so that your body
Yes.
then naturally fights off illness. We're going to have
Mm-hmm.
one for adults and we're going to have one for children. So because our kids, because the dosage is a little bit different, and we're going to have one for pets, right? Because again,
Oh,
yeah, our dog was the inspiration because whenever he's not feeling well, Mom, can you make him a formula? And so many veterinarians, when they call me, they'll say, oh, the cat has, this disease, or the
wow.
dog has that disease, and I'm like, or the horse has it. I'm like, now I'm an equestrian, but let's do it. You know what I'm saying? So they'll say, hey, can you do this? I'm like, let me think. Can I do this? We can do it, so it
Wow.
gets done. It gets done. And so that's where we're going. And so people will be able to every month never have to be without it because, again, this is no longer a want, right? This is not like,
Yeah.
oh, should I take my supplements? Should I feed my body? We're not living in
Yeah.
that world anymore. So we have to adapt to the world that is, not the world that
Mm-hmm.
was, or not the world that we
Mm-hmm.
wish it would be, to the world that is. And so for the world that is, we're going to offer that. That's going to be coming out hopefully very, very shortly. As soon as the
Okay.
boxes come in, we're going to be ready to rock. And we are going to put together an affiliate program for that. So that people want to earn additional money during this whole pandemic, they will
Mm-hmm.
be able to, because again, this is no longer the time where it's an option, right? Before
Yeah.
I would have been like, you know what, hey, you need to get this in your body, yeah, but then
Mm-hmm.
people would
Mm-hmm.
say, oh, I've had it for 6 months. Now they're like, Moni, I want to make sure I get it before the month runs out,
Yeah.
right?
We want it to be a habit, like
I, I love that.
great
Yeah,
habits, like great habits.
exactly.
And also, you want it to be part of your daily ritual. Like,
And
I'm
it
big
has
about
to
daily
be.
rituals.
Yeah, it has to be, and that's the thing, where we turn what we should do into what we must do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so whatever it is, whether it was my company or nothing, I'm going to definitely say you should do it with my company. However, no matter who it is that you're choosing, because I have other companies that I will recommend for certain things. Like, say,
Uh-huh.
for example, I don't have something. I will always, if a client comes to me, you need to go over here for this, right? Or you need to go over there for that. And they're not always because I have a relationship with them. Most of the times I don't have an affiliate relationship with them because my
Yeah.
concern is their wellness, not my ego. Are you going to be better as a result of this? Because I might not have this at the moment. And so, again, I think that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So
Yeah.
that's what's coming.
Oh, I love that. That is great news. Well, I'm already ready to sign up so that I can get my box every month
Awesome.
and
Thank
not have to
you.
think about it, because I
Yeah.
love getting things like that. I love not having to worry about what's coming. I like that whole
Mm-hmm.
automatic and I don't have to look for it. So it's just wonderful to know that I can get that from
Right.
you.
Awesome. Thank
The
you.
We got about 7 minutes, so I wanted something really quick that is really important to a lot of people. How do you know you're getting the best CBD? You brought that up a little bit. So how do you know
Mm.
that you're getting the best? Because I know you know all about that.
Whew. That is
Might not have
well,
enough time, but go
we
ahead.
do not have enough time for that.
Okay.
Here's the beauty of the CBD industry, right? The people have now recognized that when we first started, um,
Uh-huh.
the science was not as new. The science is actually still pretty new. People don't realize that the science
Hmm.
is still pretty new. We're still finding out all kinds of things about it, and so every time you turn around, there's going to be, oh, we've got the best, we've got the best, we've got
Hmm.
nano, we've got liposomal, we've got water based, we've got, and so everyone's going to make the claim of having the best. I will tell you the difference in what I do versus what everyone else does. I
Okay.
do not chemicalize my CBD. And what I mean by that is, if it was created by nature, the type that I use, and the reason why I said that it doesn't taste the greatest is because
Hmm.
I don't put it through a bunch of machines and things. If nature made it this way, with its mineral content, with its terpene content, with its cannabinoid content, I leave it because I don't try to outsmart Mother Nature. I know better than that. I know better than that. And that's the reason why people get the results that they get when they use my products, is because they know that it's got very little manipulation. The only thing that we do differently is that we blend them properly in the right harmonious way, in the right vibration, and respecting them and asking that once it enters the body, that it does what it does for that person's cells, right? And so the cells then just begin to respond accordingly. And so I never get into the CBD wars, because guess what? Tomorrow somebody's going to say they have the best, but I don't believe that you can top nature. I don't believe you can top nature.
That's a really good point. What you said about manipulating. I don't manipulate the products. That's really important, because I know when I grocery shop, I don't know. I think probably more people are doing it now. I really look at the labels, and I try to decide as much as I can. I mean, obviously, if you're going to the farmer's market, you're going to get it from the farm to the market. But there are some times when you're having to purchase certain things, and you really kind of have to look at it, because maybe it's not exactly what it seems. And so it will, I believe, by getting products with you, that they're going to get exactly what you say it is. And I think that's one of the biggest values, is that you believe that, so we can trust you. And trust is a big thing, trust and value with people. And so that is really why I wanted my audience to get a chance to get to know you, because
thank you.
This is what you do. This is who you are. It's not a fad. It's not a hobby. It is you. Are you an empath? Empath? Am I saying the term correctly? Empath. Are you an empath?
For sure. And that is, I think the biggest thing, if I want to say something to fellow empaths right now, it is that you recognize, because what happens with a lot of empaths, and why so many empaths are more sick than other people, is because when they feel the energy of other people and they feel their pain, they keep it. They don't recognize that it does not belong to them. It is for them to transmute, to turn back into the light, and then to release. Right? It is for them. So the empath's job is really the job of a healer. But many empaths don't know what it is that they're, I'm an empath. And so, I feel this so deep. I'm depressed because, I'm feeling the world all over me. I'm feeling all the pain in the world. Why aren't you praying? Why aren't you transmuting that into light? You're carrying it, and that's why you're ill. And so when you learn the gift of the empath, the reason why it has shown up, right? Why is it? So when you ask anxiety, why are you here? Right? Where I'm here because of such. When you ask depression, what did you show up for? Right? When you came, now you get an answer that allows you to now say, okay, now I can now release you, right? And now you're no longer holding it. And now you're not only healing yourself, you're healing so many people around the world, because we're all connected by this divine web, right? That connects everybody. And so one can heal 1,000, 10,000, and so on, just by healing themselves. And so empaths recognize that it does not belong to you.
You heard her here. You heard Moni. So I just am so grateful to have you here. Love Bellativa. You know that we have it right there, LOVEBELLATIVA.com. And you can find her on Facebook, that beautiful face, on Instagram, just about everywhere. And I just want to thank you and honor you for being here and honoring us with your presence and with your knowledge. And hey, everybody, this is what we do on the Info Broker.
It was my honor to be here. Thank you.
All the time. Every time I see your beautiful face, I'm happy. So we just want to thank you guys for being on the show. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, our audience, for listening in. And this is Robyn Mancell with the Info Broker. We are keeping you in the know, because you don't know what you don't know. Thank you guys for joining us. Bye. See you next week.
Bye.